Okay, so I went around the world and I talked to 9 different communities representing several hundred people who are community activists, permaculturists, and various people who are trying to do something in the face of the turmoil that we're in. Some are in Australia, some in South Africa, most in Europe and the US, and out on the Hawaiian Islands, which I know are part of the US, but not that you'd really notice when you're over there. But, and Canada, we had some people up there too. And the conclusion that everybody reached was they agreed, nature connection is essential. Good? Platform? Can we stand on that stone? Given that nature connection is essential, then let's just go connect people to nature, right? Right. There's no rubber belt. We don't have something like that. And you know what's even better? This is even better. About, maybe 1,000, 1,500 years ago or so, there was this really bad idea that was launched as a campaign that kind of spread around. And there's different versions of it all over the world, but it did a lot to kind of create the current culture. And it gave us some really great moral values that have spread through time for a long time. And I just want to go back and I wonder if we could go back in time to the Dark Ages. And just talk about those a little bit, just think about them for a minute. Let's give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. How about those Dark Ages? What do you say? Okay, we're getting a lot of thumbs down. Oh, 1 thumbs up. Okay, good. The Dark Ages. Let's spend about 400 years doing our very best to erase the European people's ancestral memory of their indigenous roots. Let's just do that, just for an experiment. And after 400 years, let's just launch them through time and see what they do with that newfound brain pattern that they've got going, that they're going to pass from generation to generation without stopping. And it shows up in 2009, still going strong, because no one ever did anything about the wounds of that time. They're still operating. And that means every person in this room is likely operating with those wounds still intact. Because as it turns out, they seem to pass between mother and baby really early on. Maybe even in the DNA. I don't know where it's passing. Well, Rupert Sheldrake might tell you that it's in some kind of collective field consciousness that's moving through time. I don't know where it passes, but I know this. As a nature connection practitioner, I have been mentoring people in nature connection for 25 years consciously. Well, actually more like 30 years consciously, but professionally 25 years. I mean, people pay me for it. 25 years, I've made a living at connecting people with nature, but not really. I'm still here, so I guess I did make a living, because I'm alive. You have to define that a little bit. So what did I learn over 25 years? Well, I learned how to mentor people, and I learned a lot about mentoring. And I'm proud to say that I can call Matt Arbor today and still have mentoring conversations with him after 25 years. I mean, we're still in that relationship. That's kind of common. And then there's people that have been mentoring for 24 years, 23 years, 20, 5, 2, 1. I have mentoring relationships that go very long through time. And I've watched hundreds of people on the nature connection journey. And I've watched them all do the same thing, as if it was one person. They get to a certain place, they tell me, I want to have nature connection, and that's maybe not how they're expressing it, but that's what they're saying to me. I want all the symptoms of nature connection, they're telling me. All right, let's go. Are you really committed to this? Yes, it's going to get hard sometimes. I know, but this is what I really believe, and this is what I'm going to do. They get about halfway there, and all of a sudden, they get this scared look in their eye, and then they change over to a different activity. And then they tell me they're too busy to connect to nature anymore. It happens again and again. They squirt out sideways like a bar, so right when they're close to that threshold. I'm like, what is going on with this, What is that? Well, Michael Lee shed some light on it for me. So did a number of other people who do really deep work with people. And you know what I discovered? At each time when someone hits that place, you know what's showing itself? The Dark Ages. The 400-year cultural cleansing is what's showing up. You know what's going to keep us from getting connected to nature? Not looking at that. not understanding how that's actually operating and what that's doing to us. We move through time, all of us here, and we pass down things that we carry within ourselves, whether we like it or not. Do you all know that? Is everybody here part of the human race in this room here? Do you have any? Okay, a couple extraterrestrials, cool. A couple of robots, great. All the rest of you, though, are human beings. And as humans, we know that when we get a habit inside of us, it becomes who we are. We begin to identify with that habit. It is who we are. And we don't know what that habit is doing. We don't know the psychological impact it's having on us. And I see as time goes on and generations move through time, you know, it gets worse and worse and worse. And it's becoming more and more chaotic with every passing generation. And that's concerning to me. I have a grave concern about that because the writing is on the wall in the next generation if we don't reverse that kind of fast. So what does that look like? Well, I asked this one man in Germany and I said, Mark, can you please tell me why, after 4 years of doing this with you, you know how good you feel when you go into nature. Could you please tell me how you feel when you come back from nature? Well, you know what's really interesting, he says? I think to myself, I don't have time to go do this. I'm too busy. But when I go out there and sit for a little while or walk around a little bit, listen to the birds, feel the wind on my face, connect with the sun, kind of lose my sense of time, when I feel that feeling of connection occur again, and then I go back home, I realize I don't even remember what it was that I thought I was so busy doing. I can't remember it anymore. And all of a sudden I have more time, not less time. And I don't know what's going on there, but I feel better. And my wife likes me better. And I'm happier. So I talked to the wife and she agrees. This is true. When he comes back in from doing something in nature, whatever it is, whether he's wandering around or fishing or walking or whatever, when he comes back in, he's a much more pleasant man to be around. So what do you feel about that? I wish he would go outside more. Because when he doesn't, something starts building up. He says, okay, I know that's true. So you're telling me that you know it's really good for you to be out there and that it doesn't take time away, it actually adds time. Yeah, I know that. Does it take energy away or does it add energy? Well, it actually adds energy. I feel better, I have more energy to do things. I'm a better person, I'm more creative, I'm more functional, I'm happier. Anybody else feel that way? Co-nature connection? Great, so cool. If you didn't raise your hand, then we probably should talk afterwards, because you might be right at the door that I'm talking about. Okay? So, this is the story that Mark tells me, and then he graduated today from a 5-year teacher training program. And I just had to acknowledge him for his courage and his power as an individual. He's done some beautiful work in his life, and he's serving this youth group now. He's doing amazing things over there, and I feel really, really hopeful about what's going to happen with anyone who comes in contact with him. And his wife really is thankful, too, for this journey that he's on. And it's blessed their family. So now, here's what's coming. Mark, tell me, if you know all this is true, why do you avoid going outside for 2 months at a time sometimes? Well, because I'm really busy. I'm like, come on, tell me what's really happening. Let's slow down the tape and replay it again. Tell me what's really going on. Tell me what conversation you're having with yourself. And he finally comes out with this nugget. He says, you know what I realized? There's this instinct in me that says, if I get too connected to nature, I start to feel really sensitive. And then I don't relate well to my peers anymore. And I feel them putting their hands up to me. And I don't want to lose my relationship to my people. I don't want to be taken away from my tribe. Those are the words that he uses. And I said, all right, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're talking about what's really going on below the surface. Please go back in time and tell me when you first remembered feeling that way. He says, I think I've had that feeling for as long as I can remember. I said, let's go back.